Gay legend Tab Hunter came clean about his Hollywood romantic past at the age of 86, and not all of the revelations were spectacular. From an orphaned youngster to a global sex icon, it's a tale of sinister secrets, treachery, and, in the end, the strength of perseverance. If you grew up seeing Casablanca or seeing celebrities like Joan Crawford and Humphrey Bogart, this narrative will make you think a lot and feel something, perhaps even wow you with the little-known facets of Hollywood's heyday. On July 11, 1931, Tab Hunter was born into a dysfunctional family in a hospital in New York City. His father was a careless man who wasn't even there when he was born, and his mother, Gertrude Gellion, was a German immigrant who was just 20 years old when she gave birth. He made a quick visit, threw a cheap candy bar onto the hospital bed, and walked away, denying his son's name. According to the birth certificate, Gertrude was left to raise Arthur and his older brother Walt by herself. Yes, it was a difficult beginning. A single mother in America in the 1930s had to deal with solitude, poverty, and harsh social criticism. Arthur and Walt learned to watch out for one another, while Gertrude put out endless effort to support her boys. Walt, the older brother, who is protective, led the bashful Arthur, who steered clear of spotlight at all costs. Despite growing up in a devout Catholic home, Arthur never felt loved by his father and felt lost from an early age. Arthur's book claims that Gertrude gave him everything but emotional warmth, which shaped his reserved and contemplative nature, and helped him constantly erase unpleasant feelings from his thoughts. In the 1940s, Arthur became even more self-conscious after the family relocated to Los Angeles. He always felt like an outsider, out of place among people. Then, as a teenager, he started to attract a lot of attention, particularly from schoolgirls, due to his remarkable good looks, golden blonde hair, deep blue eyes, and tall, athletic frame. They screamed as they chased him throughout the hallways, forcing him to hide in lockers or vacant classrooms in order to get away. However, this attention simply made him more nervous. Arthur quickly became aware of his attraction to guys. The term gay was not widely used at the time. Rather, vile, disgusting, and disparaging remarks were used. It was believed that homosexuality was a mental disease and a criminal with harsh penalties. Without any role models, doctors suggested horrifying procedures like forced sterilization, electric shocks, induced vomiting, or even lobotomies. After experimenting with guys a few times, Arthur was overcome with remorse and began to wonder if he was being possessed by demons or doing something wrong. He once confessed to a church priest in the hopes of receiving assistance and salvation, but he felt beyond redemption after receiving severe reprimands and being expelled. Many people in our time may identify with that sadness, my friends, as we live in a culture where one's life can be destroyed by personal secrets, whereby love was labeled a sinful evil. That is a riddle of the time. How could Arthur, a timid youngster, make it in such a critical society? What repercussions might his secrets have? Arthur worked at innumerable occupations in an attempt to live and discover who he was. He made milkshakes in a pharmacy in Rexall, where he served celebrities like Roddy McDowall, who later became a close friend after Arthur discovered he was also gay and revealed their secrets, sold orange juice at Orange Julius in Los Angeles, and welded metal in a factory. He made friends with Carol Burnett, a young woman who was likewise having trouble figuring out her life, while he was employed at the Warner Brothers Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. Together, they resigned from their abusive boss, promising never to go back. Arthur enjoyed watching films, particularly action flicks, starring strong masculine characters like Tyrone Power and Son of Fury, or Invisible Agents, John Hall. In an attempt to escape his inner anguish and life's stagnation, he joined the Coast Guard after lying about his age and dropping out of school at the age of 15. But the harshness of reality prevailed. He was assigned to a meteorological station in the Pacific, where he would be alone and surrounded by an infinite ocean. He was thereafter moved to Connecticut, which is close to New York, for training. In an attempt to replace the hole in his heart, he looked for his father, a man he had never met. A woman in a rage answered the door when he knocked on the last known address. His father, who refused to meet him, sat in the shadows behind her. Arthur felt the agony of rejection more intensely than ever before the door slammed shut. The Coast Guard quickly caught him lying about his age and returned him to Los Angeles. Arthur fell into a profound melancholy as a result of the consecutive rejections, unsure of his sexual orientation and wondering if there was any hope for his future. Arthur warily looked for male company after returning to Los Angeles. Given the significant risks, society may result in compulsory treatment or incarceration. He once barely avoided a car crash after a drunk man accosted him and he fled in terror. However, he was first exposed to horseback riding at Griffith Park by his brother Walt. When Arthur first got on a horse, he was frightened and his heart was racing, but he eventually found calm. He had never had a sense of belonging until he started taking care of animals and doing hard labor. He began going to the stables on a regular basis, working in return for riding time, and it was there that he felt the closest to God while carrying a shovel of muck. It was a lovely emotional point in his life, where nature and animals provided optimism amid the sorrow, and he dreamed of having a horse, even though it seemed unattainable for a young lad. Arthur met a little-known actor named Dick Clayton one day while cycling in the park. Dick asked Arthur, who was tall, blond, and blue-eyed, if he had thought about acting since he recognized potential in his appearance. He was simply a child who loved horses, not a celebrity, so Arthur dismissed it as a ridiculous notion. Dick, however, persevered, befriending Arthur and pushing him to complete high school. Arthur wanted to be independent after graduating, so he and Walt rented a flat from a gay man named Terry. Arthur was in need of solid work and money. He made the decision to start acting after recalling Dick's suggestions. He met agent Henry Wilson at a glitzy Hollywood party thanks to Dick. Henry, who is well known for representing attractive men like Rock Hudson, Natalie Wood, Lana Turner, and Ann Sothern, wanted to make Arthur a celebrity after seeing him. Henry liked giving his clients masculine nicknames, so he picked Hunter from Arthur's favorite kind of horse, and Tab from the word tab, which sounds rough but actually means a bill. Henry didn't care if Arthur Gellion didn't like the new name. Arthur changed his name to Tab Hunter when he departed the party. From a youngster raking manure to a future celebrity, it was an enigmatic moment. But was Henry acting with good intentions? With only one line removed, Henry was able to land Tab a small role in The Lawless in 1950. But compared to his previous occupations, he made a fortune. $500. He then came to the realization that the new moniker wasn't all that horrible, and that he could use the money to assist his partner, Ronnie Robertson, a figure skater with the quickest spin in the world, and follow his love of horses. Tab wanted to assist Ronnie in realizing her dream of being a professional. However, Henry primarily used Tab as a date for clubs and meals, sending out very few auditions. By bringing over a female friend who was aware of the reality, Tab deftly avoided this. He chose odd jobs and government help as his career stagnated. Terry invited Tab to a party in Walnut Park one evening in October 1952. It was a gay men's meetup, but Tab mistook it for a fun get-together. When the cops searched the place, he hid in the kitchen and scrounged free food. Gay parties were viewed as illegal, obscene, and lascivious activities associated with thievery in the 1950s. Some claim that an undercover police officer was invited by a patron of a pub. Others assert that their neighbor's hatred of homosexuality is the reason. Others were taken to jail in any case. Typically, their careers would be ruined by fines, jail time, and public humiliation in the media. Tab was concerned about his developing profession and his mother. Greg Boutzer, a studio lawyer who dealt with controversies, was phoned by a visitor. The charge was lowered to disturbing the peace by Boutzer, who also offered probation, a minor fine, and no media attention. Tab promised not to tell. His first scandal was a sinister mystery that almost brought everything to an end. However, his career continued to flop, and Tab fired Henry, who became enraged and propagated vile rumors. It was a mysterious and treacherous conflict, akin to Tab being dubbed after a sleeping tab for being uninteresting in bed. In 1952, Tab went to United Artists to try out for Island of Desire with new agent Dick Clayton. After asking him to remove his shirt, screenwriter Stephanie Nordley cast him alongside the seductive Linda Darnell as a sailor. Critics criticized his performance in the movie, but his body won many female followers. Magazines featured him on covers and connected him to Debbie Reynolds, and fan letters flooded in. After directors noticed, Tab was cast in macho soldier parts, frequently without a shirt, such as Battlecry in 1955 and The Girl He Left Behind in 1956. Based on Leon Uris's novel and shot in Camp Pendleton, Battlecry was Warner's biggest blockbuster of 1955, earning $8 million, the third highest total that year. Tab left Hollywood to study theater in our town, Taft, which is only a few thousand people in size, since he realized that his acting was lacking. He was first questioned by lead actress Marilyn Erskine, who referred to him as a clumsy oaf. However, he was changed by intense training in audience participation, emotion, and character. Tab matured as a result of the play's success and tour through California. Impressed, Marilyn brought him to Eddie Fisher, the singer known for Oh My Papa, who was her boyfriend. Eddie was aware that Warner needed a good-looking actor to portray complicated emotions in Battlecry. Paul Newman and James Dean tried out for the part, but Tab's chemistry won it. He signed a 6-month contract with Warner at $500 per week. Tab made an impression while filming in Puerto Rico, earning him a rising star rating from Life magazine. He was signed for 7 years by Jack Warner, who promised to turn him into a star like Humphrey Bogart or Bette Davis. Tab starred in a number of Warner films, including The Sea Chase, 1955, in which John Wayne played a German captain during World War II, A Sea Adventure, the family drama track of the Cat, 1954, starring Robert Mitchum, and The Burning Hills, 1956, starring Natalie Wood, the daughter of a Russian immigrant, who was well known for her roles in Miracle on 34th Street and Rebel Without a Cause. As they grew close and shared studio pressures, Natalie served as Tab's mentor. To conceal his sexual orientation, the studio staged a relationship by sending them on fictitious dates and disclosing made-up tales of love, such as Tab dancing in the moonlight or giving Natalie roses. Although Tab detested the facade, he had to comply because his mother had undergone electric shock therapy for a mental breakdown in the 1950s. When he visited her, he saw that she was in anguish and had shaved her head. She begged him, "Why did you do this to me?" Stress, according to doctors, played a part. Tab promised to take care of her forever, including making a public service announcement on mental health, which was uncommon for a celebrity at the time, and stressing compassion for sufferers. The stigma of being gay persisted. Tab felt like he was living two lives and lived in guilt when it was diagnosed as a mental condition. Howard Rushmore, editor of the tabloid Confidential, which was supported by affluent Republicans who hated gays and progressives, added weight to the secret. Aimed at celebrities like Rock Hudson and against interracial marriage. Agent Henry Wilson, still resentful of Tab, struck a deal despite the fact that they possessed pictures of Rock with guys. Expose Tab, Spare Rock. The 1950 arrest of Tab at a limp-wrist pajama party was covered by Confidential, which described the event as 24 of the gayest guys the cops ever saw. Stunned, Tab believed his career was ended. Warner retaliated with favorable coverage. Tab took care of his mother, dated women, was the guy next door, and had male friends but no romantic partners. His handwriting was even commended. At the Audience Awards, he received the prize for Most Promising New Male Personality. When a photographer made fun of him by saying, "Today's headline, tomorrow's toilet paper," Jack Warner personally stepped in. Hollywood understood not to snoop on Tab or Warner, and the media brushed Confidential aside as flimsy rumors. It was a poignant moment. Rescued from the precipice, but Tab discovered the value of secrets and the strength of studios. After meeting at a hotel pool in West Hollywood, Tab began dating Anthony Perkins, the Broadway star of Tea and Sympathy, who was portraying a potentially gay boy. Their 2-year courtship was mysterious, risky, and endearing. Needing a straight-on image, Paramount contemplated paying $15 million to sign Perkins. They went to theaters separately while hiding. Studios pushed female dates, teaming Tab with Debbie Reynolds or Natalie Wood, using different automobiles, living close by to slip over at night, and sitting together after the lights went out. Insiders, however, knew that Tab's mother's neighbor, Dorothy, had found missing money and blackmailed him over his male associates. Feeling deceived by someone close to him, Tab was incensed, yet paid to keep his mother safe. In terms of his career, Tab had aspirations of starring in musicals, but in 1958, director George Abbott made him imitate Ray Walston's Broadway character, which left him feeling like a shadow of someone else. Alongside Gary Cooper and Rita Hayworth, he played Lieutenant William Fowler in the 1959 Mexican-American War movie Loan to Colombia, which examined bravery and cowardice, obtaining recognition for more nuanced acting. In the 1958 Western about family violence, Gunman's Walk with Van Heflin, Tab was viewed as a disobedient son. After Tab's voice was lauded by a DJ during the Burning Hills, Dot Records recorded Young Love, which became a #1 hit, topped Elvis for 6 weeks, sold 2 million copies, earned an RIAA Gold certification, and influenced rock and roll. Reached #5 in the UK and #11 in the US. Enraged by Paramount's profit, Jack Warner established Warner Brothers Records and outlawed recordings. Tab considered having to do TV to be a step backward. He was suspended, pleaded to go, and refused. Warner made a $100,000 demand. Tab felt free yet nervous as he agreed and paid 25% of his salary. Departing from Warner. West Side Story was missed. Although Tony chose a younger Richard Bomer, Natalie played Maria. Terrence Stamp took on more parts for Billy Budd. Debt persisted, and Tab performed for $1,500 at low-budget films such Dinner Theater, Exhausting, Lonely, variety shows, and Operation Bikini in 1963 before going back to a hotel by himself. He and John relocated to Virginia. Living cheaply, breeding horses, and pretending to be his secretary, his career reduced to Dinner Theater, where older audiences reminded him that he was once someone. He was made fun of the tabloids for using varied advertising to solicit work, while distributing false information about dog abuse or acid overdoses. He paid a price for winning litigation. His reputation was ruined, and The Boy Next Door fell apart. California sued Confidential in 1957, threatening to bring Tab and other celebrities to testify. He was afraid of lying or revealing his sexual orientation by declaring under oath. During the 6-week trial, celebrities like Francesca Descalfa were so humiliated that they almost committed suicide. A resolution was reached at the conclusion. Confidential ended rumors, and the lawsuit was withdrawn. Perhaps out of concern that his sexual orientation would influence the court, Tab chose not to testify. One more enigma of the time. His career continued to decline. There were few guest appearances, such as The Virginian in 1964 and the 1960 to 1961 sitcom The Tab Hunter Show, failed. They broke up with John when their relationship worsened. John used love letters to extort $10,000 from Tab. Feeling deceived once more, Tab paid. After learning of Walt's death in Vietnam, Tab sobbed by herself in a horse stall in San Francisco, lamenting the brother who kept him safe. He used a satire of a dog saving Hollywood, One Ton Ton, and The Dog Who Saved Hollywood, 1976. John Waters referred to the eccentric director of Pink Flamingos as a Tab aficionado in the early 1980s, following dinner theater in Chapter 2 in Indianapolis. Provided polyester in 1981, co-starring opposite 350-pound drag diva Divine. Smell, scratch, and gimmick cards for audiences ranging from feces to flowers. Tab paused. Friends said it would damage his reputation. But what's to lose, he wondered as he read the script. I've lost my career. For 3 weeks, Tab felt free while filming in Baltimore, without a trailer, and enjoying cold pizza at 2A. Polyester was popular. The New York Times described Tab as charming, and others commended him for enhancing it. Reaching a new generation, he felt motivated and renewed. In 1982, Tab joined puppet Wayland Flowers in embracing Camp Madam's Place, singing the hilarious reproduction in Grease 2, 1982. Lust in the Dust is what he wrote. A Western spoof featuring Divine was shot in New Mexico in 1985. They fell in love after he met Fox CEO Alan Glazer. Alan stopped making, taking a chance but having faith in a better future. Variety described the movie as sultry, provocative, and hilarious, and it went on to become a cult classic. With Natalie Wood's daughter, Natasha Gregson Wagner, they produced Dark Horse in 1992, bringing up poignant memories of his longtime friend. Tab was present when Rock Hudson passed away from AIDS in 1985. Amid social disapproval and worries about gays being blacklisted due to kissing issues. In 1992, Anthony Perkins passed away, was extended an offer for a part in Lust, but Perkins turned it down. There was remorse in their last meeting. When Tab retired in the 1990s to farm horses, he found simple joy and felt the closest to God when working with a shovel of manure. He publicly discussed his sexuality and life from childhood to love in his 2005 New York Times bestseller, Tab Hunter Confidential, which he penned with Eddie Muller after learning of an unapproved biography. In 2015, Jeffrey Schwartz produced an award-winning documentary with interviews with Debbie Reynolds, Clint Eastwood, and Waters. Tab left a legacy of love and tenacity when she married Alan in 2015 and passed away from a blood clot on July 8, 2018, at the age of 86. Let's now explore further to gain understanding. Tab Hunter is a symbol of Hollywood's heyday in the 1950s. Stars were created from nothing by studios such as Warner Brothers, who had complete control over their lives. Like a controlling parent, Jack Warner stifled Tab's freedom while safeguarding his assets, keeping him in the ideal boy-next-door role. Being homosexual was a huge hardship. Tab lived with guilt because society considered it a crime and a mental disorder. Battling for their lives was more taciturn than Rock Hudson, but both were victims of the Hollywood system that allowed private information to be used for retaliation or financial gain. From an orphaned youngster with a sick mother and no father to a sex icon, then to dinner theater and B-movies, I respect Tab's journey and his courageous acceptance of his truth. Even though it comes late, it's a lesson in fortitude and genuineness. This anecdote reminds people over 65 of changes in society. Pride Month and same-sex marriage have replaced a time when being gay meant being put in jail or receiving electric shocks. Tab encourages you to be authentic. Discover small pleasures, such as caring for horses, and persevere in the face of life's setbacks. Fantastic! Whoa! The plot is spectacular and full with mystery. In 1950, who actually summoned the lawyer to come to his aid? Why did treachery result from Henry Wilson's resentment? How did he avoid disaster by surviving the private scandal? But he triumphed, finding contentment with Allen and horses, a heartfelt motivational conclusion. It's a human journey full of optimism amid dark sadness, not just a Hollywood controversy. David Lambert's legacy endures, as seen by his celebration of Tab's birthday with a damn Yankees picture, or by his official reminiscences of Tab and Divine in polyester as the ideal couple. Bruce LaBruce highlighted his complicated politics by calling him a gay Republican dreamboat. Despite being a conservative Republican, Tab led a genuine life. These blogs connect the past and present with their sentimental comments and vintage photographs, demonstrating that Tab continues to excite both seasoned Hollywood fans and the LGBTQ+ community. For clarity, let's go into more detail about Tab's cinematic career. Tab portrayed World War II Marine Danny Forrester in the 1955 film Battlecry, which was based on Leon Uris's $8 million bestseller. He was hailed for his connection with Tab Raymond and co-starred alongside Van Heflin and Aldo Ray. He was launched by the movie. However, he acknowledged that his early acting was lacking. At his height, he took the risk of studying theater. With Tab as Joe Hardy, a guy who sells his soul to play baseball, and singing Goodbye, Old Girl, and Two Lost Souls with Gwen Verdon, Damn Yankees, 1958, was a musical high point. The movie's screenplay won an Oscar, but Tab felt constrained by the Broadway role, which exacerbated tensions in the studio.